Hey guys, Alan here from Malicious Custom Knives. I want to talk about the Aciera 23. Okay, a little back history of this machine. I was in south of France at a machine dealer wanting to buy a milling machine, and my friend Charlie Benica bought just a cherry Aciera F4. And I was like, oh man, that would have been nice to have that machine. So I'm kind of like walking around the shop looking at it, and I come across this thing. I'm like, oh, it's so big and green. What is it? You know, and the guy goes, it drills, it's a bore, jig bore, it's a miller, you know. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'll take it, you know. And so not really exactly understanding what a 23 was at the time. When I got it back and I started working with it, it is probably the best buy that I've ever done on machines. So there's not a lot of these machines out in circulation. 23s in the US, I could there's like the amount on my hand. Okay, there's not many of them. All right, there's a smaller version of this machine called a 22, and it is way smaller. Okay, this is an 80s version or 80 plus. You could tell it's an 80s plus because the green color. For some reason in Europe, machines like once they hit 80, they turn to green. Okay, before that they were gray, like this decal pentagraph right here, gray. All right, and so also another way you can tell is squared off heads. Okay, the older models were rounded off. All right, so that's how you can tell also if it's an older machine. So this is an 80s plus machine. Very nice. There's not a lot here in the US. There's not a lot of people talking about this machine. So what I want to do is I want to go through all the buttons and all the features of this machine. Okay. All right. So this is your emergency stop button. Okay. This is your off button. This is your on button. All right. And then you take a tool, you insert it in the spindle, and you can turn it on, automatic on, okay, or automatic off. The sweet thing about this machine is if you turn the hand crank, it automatically comes on, and if you let go, it automatically comes off. All right. This raises the head. This lowers the head. Okay. So if you turn on, this is on low speed. So you can see that the speed is right here. It's low. All right. You can also hear it's low. Turn it to number 2. That would be your high speed. Speed jumps up. You can even hear it and see it's faster. All right. So right now it's pointing down to the low speed, high speed of the higher range. You could turn this and you could get the lower range. So turn it back to 1, really slow. All right. Turn it to number 2, a little bit faster. Okay. We go back to where we were at, turn it back to 1, even faster, and back to 2, really fast. Okay, so this controls high gear, low gear, all right, and then you have 1 and 2 that controls high speed, low speed. So each of the gears, you have a high and a low. This over here, okay, when you see these, the numbers changing, all right, that is controlling the feed. So if I do this, push this down, I have an automatic feed. Pretty sweet, right? You just push that out of the way and it stops. And then this turret is all these stops that you can have prearranged stops. And when it hits this, it cuts off the machine and it's at a certain depth that you wanted to go. All right. This E corresponds with a knob back here on the hand crank that that does tapping. I've never done the tapping because I have a Tapmatic, which is way faster, and I just never used it. All right. This table is from Fellman. Fellman's a very well-respected company in Switzerland that makes basically badass drill presses and cross tables, okay? So Fellman teamed up with Aciera. This is a Fellman table, a monster table, very, very smooth, extremely smooth, all right? Fellman has a drill that looks very similar to the Aciera, so they did collaborate. The taper is the same. This is a 30 taper. They put holes around it because there's bearings up in here, okay? And you notice how fast that is by just pulling out this tool. Let's change out to another tool, okay? So what's one of the slowest things about drilling? Stopping the machine, letting it slow down, taking out your drill bit, replacing it with something else, all right? Also, there is a electronic brake, all right, a magnetic brake. By pushing that, I can spin the spindle. Turning it on, I cannot. That allows me to have a very fast stop, all right? Also, down here, for the Z-axis, you hear that? That is a magnetic brake, so now the Z cannot move. It basically kills the whole entire switch for the Z, and then you re-engage the Z-axis. Got a DRO that I installed this past weekend. And that is everything about the 23. So if you ever have a chance to pick up a 23 or a Aciera 22 or a Fellman, jump at it. Thanks a lot.